tree, white and pink and lazy as can be. But I'd be king just in the spring, so now I think it over. Gee, I'm glad I'm no one else but me. If you sit around and find the world is gloomy, and it isn't just your cup of tea, it's easy to imagine that it's rosy and gloomy. You can think the things you want to be. So when all is said and done, imagining's a lot of fun. But when there are battles to be won, be what you are, it's best by far, and soon you'll be in clover. Gee, I'm glad I'm no one else but me.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Steven, and this is my first official video as the Dancing Baker. And today, we're going to do cinnamon rolls, so let's get right at it. Now first, I took 2 cups of milk, and I've warmed this in the microwave already. You want it between 37 and 43 degrees Celsius, or if you're doing Fahrenheit, 100 and 110. So I'm just going to check the temperature there. Yeah, that's perfect. So basically, warm to the touch. I'm just going to put it in here. There we go. Boom. Just like that. Next, half a cup of melted butter. There we go. I just dump it right in. And a half a cup of granulated sugar. There we go. We'll just get all that out. Fabulous. I'm now going to just take a whisk, and I'm going to whisk it all together. Just like that. Just so it gets nicely mixed together. Good. That should be about good. So next, I take 2 1/4 teaspoons of activated yeast, and I just sprinkle it on top. Just like that. There we go. Nice. Okay, so the yeast needs to sit for about a minute, so I'm just going to activate my timer, make sure the volume is up. Great. So, I am not a professional baker. What I am is a professional dancer, choreographer, teacher. Basically, I'm a theater guy. And a few years ago, I fell in love with baking. So what I do is I decide what I want to bake, and then I kind of search for the perfect recipe. Sometimes I have to go through about 2 or 3 recipes, or sometimes I find it right away. Oftentimes I have to tweak it, practice it, stuff like that. So this one is from a website called Tasty, and I tell you, I had a lot of good luck with this website. Now, next I've already portioned out 4 cups of flour. Just gonna pause that, there we go. And I'm gonna dump it right in, just like that. There we go, set that aside. And I'm just gonna bring it all together with a wooden spoon. Yeah, so basically, I guess what I do is I kind of review recipes, things that have worked for me. I always search for things that are kind of simple to do, accessible maybe. Ingredients also that are accessible. I want to keep it uncomplicated yet delicious. So next, after you brought everything together, just like that, here I'll give it a show there. There we go. You need to prove it for an hour. Now, proving is just a fancy word for having it rise. Now, I read on another recipe that the perfect way to prove your dough is to do it in the oven with a pot of hot water. So I already boiled a kettle of water. I'm just gonna pour a little bit into my baking dish. There we go. That's about good. And I'm going to put it in my oven on the bottom oven rack here. Here we go. So I'll just put it in like that. So the humidity creates the perfect environment for the dough to rise. So next, I just cover it with a tea towel. Here we go. And I put it in the oven. And I let it rise for about an hour. So I'll tell you what, I'll see you back here when the dough has finished rising. Okay. Hey guys, I'm back. Now, check this out. Boom! There it is. Look at that. Now that has basically doubled in size. And I tell you, at this stage of the game, If I can get anything to rise and double in size, I know it's going to be a good day. So next, I take 3/4 a cup of flour and I just sprinkle that in there. There we go. 2 teaspoons of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder. And again, just sprinkle it there. There we are. Now, wooden spoon, and we just bring it all together. Now, when I started doing these videos on Facebook, I just kind of posted them just for my friends and stuff. And one of the reasons that I picked cinnamon buns is I had so many people say to me, Stephen, I've stayed away from baking cinnamon buns because I kind of find them a bit intimidating. Now, there's nothing to be scared of. These are actually quite simple. Now, what's really cool about this stage of the game is the dough pretty much kind of starts to take on a whole different personality. The consistency really changes. Now, another thing people used to say to me was, Stephen, you're the dancing baker. You need to dance more. But you know what? I just can't, break into a routine as I'm doing this. It needs to be, appropriate. Good. Now that looks pretty good. Now we need to turn this out on our counter. But before we do that, we just need to flour the counter a bit. So you just take some flour, just there. You want to have it accessible. And here we go. Bam! There it is. And we just spread it out all over the counter. This way the dough is not going to stick. Okay, and maybe just a bit more for some insurance. That's a gorgeous thing. Cool. Here we go. Now, we're going to turn this out and we're going to knead it. And you only need to knead it until it's not sticky anymore. Okay, so you can add some more flour as you see fit. So I just get in there with the heel of my hands. There we go. Take it over, slap it down. Nice. That's not bad at all, actually. Just gonna take a little bit more flour. Now, on the recipe, it says you only have to knead it until the stickiness is gone. So I still have a little bit, and I'm gonna just make sure I keep that counter nicely floured. Here we go. Kneading away. Good, you know what? I think that's actually not bad. Now, I'm going to attempt to make this into kind of more like a square than a circle. Reason being is we need to roll it out into a rectangle. So let's see what that does. Here we go. Now, I even like to give my rolling pin a little bit of dusting of flour. Just again, reason being so it doesn't stick. So there we go. Nice. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. A little sticky part there. This part has always been one of my challenges. And so I asked my friend Glenda, I said, Glenda, what's up with that? And she said, basically, if you start in a square, it should roll out in a square. Now, so we'll see what that happens. I should kind of be okay. I mean, it's not like I failed shapes in school or anything. And I'm going to start from the center and roll it out that way. And roll it out this way and this way. Huh. You know what? This is actually kind of better than what I thought. Now hold on, because I just dropped my tea towel on the floor. Not that I 100% need it at this point. And I'm going to keep rolling until it's about 1 centimeter in thickness there. Okay, let me keep going. And again, even if I don't get it perfect, as I said, it's never really failed me. And if you're not quite sure what 1 centimeter is, just get your measuring tape out. But it's that much. Okay, I'm gonna keep going here. A little bit more up this way and this way. So I think my rectangle, although not bad, could still improve. So I think this is something that I'm gonna work on. Now I like to measure because I'm looking to get it somewhere between, oh, okay, that's not bad. Almost where I want it to be. I like it to be around 20 inches or so. So I'm just gonna roll it out. I'm gonna pinch that side together there. And I'm gonna roll it out a little bit more. Let's see how we're doing there. I'm gonna try and even out that corner a bit. I'm gonna take my measuring tape again. Yeah, that's about where I want it. Now, again, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's not horrible. So, next thing, you take 3/4 cup of butter and you just spread it all around. Now, your butter needs to be pretty soft, and you want to see if you could get pretty much all of it. There we go. That's really nice. Okay, FYI, this is not a low-fat recipe. Okay, we're basically eating a bunch of dough, butter, and sugar, but it's delicious. Yeah, cool. That's pretty good. Okay, so next up, I'm just gonna put that in there. This is 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and I just sprinkle it all over. Now, there's lots of recipes that say, lay your sugar first and then your cinnamon. I kind of like to mix them together. I've tried it both ways. This way seems to work better for me. I just like the flavor better. It's just basically it. Seems that it blends nicer, I guess. You know, funny thing is, sometimes I know why things work, and sometimes it's just kind of intuitive, I guess. Okay, there we go. Get all that goodness there. Now I'm going to just press that lightly down with my fingers that way, and that way the cinnamon and the brown sugar adhere to the butter. Okay, I'm gonna give my hands just a little quick rinse. There we go. Now, next up we have to roll this. And this is the part that I thought was going to be intimidating too. But it's not. You want to get a nice tight roll, and I roll from left to right and then right to left. So here, let's give it a try. Let's see what we have. So yeah, just get a nice tight roll with your fingers this way. And then I go back the other way. And so far, no dough is sticking to the counter, which is good. But if it did, you know what? It's all fixable. I've had it where the dough is stuck a little bit to the counter. I just throw a tiny bit more flour on there and I'm good to go. But I think, I'm gonna keep working on my rectangle. Now, what I also do is I kind of crimp the ends here before I roll it all up. That way, it kind of ensures that it all kind of stays together. Now, if you don't want to do this, you can also just seal it up with some milk if you find them coming apart. But again, this works for me. There we go. See, there was really nothing to that. All right, there we are. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure again. Here's my measuring tape, here we go. Because I next need to cut it in half. Okay, so, let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have about 22 inches. So wait, I'm gonna make my mark first. I'm going to cut it at about 11 inches, which is up there. Now I've had this knife in hot water. There we go. And it ensures an even cut. Okay, and you want to keep putting it back in the hot water. Now, just a little trick, that if you are going to use a knife with hot water, put the knife in the glass first and then the hot water. So I want these to be about 1.5 inches, so I'm going to get my measuring tape again, and I'm just going to mark them first with my knife here, and I'm going to mark it all the way down. There we go. Boom. Nice. There we go. Cool. Now, Next, I'm just going to slice right through them. Again, dipping my knife in hot water will ensure that I get a clean cut, okay? There we go. And I know I'm doing this right on my counter, but I'm being pretty careful with my counter, with my cut there. Nice. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good stuff. And I'm going to do the other one here. Now, this recipe does require a second proof. But what I do is, and the second proof is a half an hour. So what I do this time, I don't prove in my oven because I'm going to also have to preheat my oven for this, right? So I'm going to prove it in someplace warm. Now, I'm pretty lucky in the sense that I have a proving drawer. So I'm going to prove it there. But if you don't have a proving drawer, it's no big deal. Just prove it someplace warm. So now, what I do that the recipe doesn't say to do is I do not use pans that I throw away. It says use a disposable pan. I figure I have perfectly good pans here, so why would I do that? And then I just put them in the round pan, just like this. And again, what you do is you prove them. Either you can use saran wrap, or you could use your towel, which I did. Now, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clean all this crap up. I'm gonna prove these for a half an hour, and while they're proving, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 350. Then they need to bake for about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on the heat of your oven. Okay, so what I'm gonna do all that, and then I'll see you after the bake. Hey, so they're done. I'm just gonna take them out of the oven. Okay, you know what? These are gorgeous. Let me take them out. I'll just put them up here. There we go. You know what? Shut the oven off there. I'm gonna bring one to show you. Look how beautifully that baked up. Nice. Now, what we are gonna do is we are now gonna make cream cheese icing as those cool. Now this cream cheese icing is not from the Tasty recipe. They do have one on there, but I liked it, I didn't love it. And this one I love. The Tasty recipe is more of a glaze. This is more of the icing that you'd get like from a Cinnabon. And it's from the website allrecipes.com. Now what I did, I've made this several times. I find it's a lot, so I've halved the recipe. Now, if you're going to make these cinnamon buns a few days in a row or even like 3 days later, it will keep in your fridge, but for our purposes, I just did half. So in here, I have 2 tablespoons of cream cheese and 3.5 tablespoons of butter. And you really need to soften it. You need to bring it to that room temperature. It's a little bit chilly in my house today, so I actually sat it in the windowsill for a little bit with some sun. And there we go. And it becomes quite nice that way, quite easy to do. So I'm just gonna beat that in my mixer until it all mixes in together. And that's looking pretty good already. Okay, there we go. Next, I'm just gonna add a tablespoon of milk. Pour that in. Here we are. Nice. Now, along with that, I need to do a quarter of a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'll just pour that in here. Nice. There we go. And I'm just going to speed that up just a little bit. Good. Seal that up. Nice. Okay. That actually looks about right. I'm just going to turn that off. Whoop, there we go. Turning that off, unlock it, and I'm going to lift it up. Here we go. And I'm going to add in 3/4 cup of confectioner's sugar. Now, usually I do about half of that at a time because oftentimes I'll start this up and I'll get confectioner's sugar kind of all over me. Okay, so I'll start it off a little slower because of that. And once it starts to mix in, I'll go a little bit quicker. I'll just start to get the rest of it in there. Good. Now you may have to just tap down the sides of your bowl to get it all in there. Usually what I do is I'll stop it, lift this out, and I'll just take a spatula. There we go. And I'll push all the confectioner's sugar down on the side there. And ensures that it gets all mixed in. Now, I know this doesn't seem like a lot, but here, let's tap that as well. But trust me, it does the trick very well. Oh, there's the bowl. Now, for this recipe, you even add in just a touch of salt. This is 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm just going to put that in. You know, I find it amazing what salt can do, actually, to a recipe. Even like the chocolate and stuff, it just really enhances it. Nice. Okay. I think that's about good. Very good. Just gonna lift this up and I'm gonna scrape some of the icing back down into the bowl. There we go. Very good. Yum. I love cream cheese. Now, I'll just take this off. They say you should always test your bake, your cooking. Delicious. Put that in there. Bowl's off. This is ready to go. I'm just going to move this off to the side there. Now, as my cinnamon buns are cooling, I'm going to take some parchment paper, just like that. And I have a couple of cooling racks here. Next, I'm going to flip them onto the cooling racks. Hold on. So they've cooled enough that I can touch the sides, just barely, but still, I can do it. I just flip it like that. Let's see. Yeah, and they come off beautifully. Now from there, just going to take this one and go there, and boom. It's done. I'm going to get the other one there. A lot of people are nervous about flipping as well. Flipping never really bugs me, actually. I'm actually usually pretty okay with it. There we go. See, those come off beautifully. Now, what I have to do this time is I just take this, take it like that, and there we go. Okay, next, we ice it. Now, what would I like to ice it with? I'm going to go back to my wooden type spatula here. Now you want to ice them while they're still warm. And you know what? Don't be shy. This icing is gorgeous. And you just spread it a little bit all over. You know, it doesn't need to be, again, pristine. Here we go. Nice. So let me show you this. This is gorgeous. See that? I'm just going to let them sit for a little bit, and then I'm going to cut them and serve them. So you can follow me on Instagram at The Dancing Baker Canada, and if you decide to do this recipe, why don't you take a photo and tag me on it, and let me know how it goes. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Now, if you enjoyed yourself, why not hit like and subscribe, and maybe share it with your friends. So I'm going to leave you here with this. Bam! 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 See you next time.